Hello, today I'm back with a re-ranking. This time I'll be doing a re-ranking for the band All That Remains. So yeah, I did do my original ranking around 6 years ago or so, which is crazy to think that it's been that long, but either way, glad I'm finally getting around to doing a re-ranking for this band. Of course, they did have a new album earlier this year with Anti-Fragile, which I did review on the channel, so if you haven't seen that review, make sure to check out my review of Anti-Fragile after this video right here. So for this ranking, we'll be going from worst to best. Keep in mind, this is just my personal ranking. You don't have to agree with it, but feel free to let me know your ranking in the comment section below. So at the bottom, honestly, my bottom two can kind of go back and forth for me, but at the moment, this is probably the album that I would put at the bottom. Their 2015 album, The Order of Things. Easily one of their weakest. They were really diving into the whole radio rock, radio metal thing around this time in their discography or in their career, and just overall not a really good album. I do like the first two songs. This probably won't end well. I think that's a solid anthem for them. It's clearly not going to be for every fan, especially for those who prefer the heavier stuff, but personally I think that's a solid anthem for them. I do like that song. I do also like No Knock, which is definitely one of the heaviest songs on here, but I feel like the album after those two songs kind of just falls off a cliff for me. I mean, so maybe some decent moments here and there, but overall, again, after those first two songs, I kind of just stopped caring. I kind of check out, but yeah. Not a great album, but has a couple decent tracks on it. Next in my ranking, we have another album that's divisive within their discography with Madness from 2017. And really the only reason why I put this above The Order of Things is mainly because I find myself liking more songs off of here, I guess. I mean, I like Safe House, kind of a generic chugger, but still I do like that song. I even like the title track Madness. That's a song that's grown on me over the years. I do like that one. I also think Halo's another solid single off the album. Move towards some of the lesser known songs. I do like Trust and Believe and Open Grave, but you definitely get your fair share of crap on this album, such as songs like If I'm Honest and Nothing I Can Do, and especially Back to You, which definitely leans more towards the more countryside, and yeah, that's a big no thank you for me. And you also have that cover of The Thunder Rolls, which I'm also not a big fan of either. But yeah, the album has its moments, but overall, not a very good album. But next in my ranking, we have their debut album, Behind Silence and Solitude, which I think is a decent debut album. There are some good songs on here, like Clarity. I do like the title track and From These Wounds, but overall, just in general, not an album that I return to very often. But yeah, there are some good songs on here though. Clarity probably be my favorite song on the album. But next in my ranking, I'm sure I might get some flack for putting this above the debut, but I do seem to like this album more than some people, and that album is A War You Cannot Win. This was the album where they really started to lean more and more into the whole radio rock, radio metal thing. I mean, they started showing glimpses of that with Overcome and For We Are Many, but they pushed that even further with this album especially. They really started diving into that even more when they enter the 2010s, but I seem to like this album more than some people. I think there are some pretty good songs on here. You have the song Stand Up, which I think was the first song I heard from these guys. That song was my introduction to the band. Maybe not the best introduction, maybe not the best representation of the band, but again, it was the song that introduced me to them. And of course, you have one of their biggest songs on here with What If I Was Nothing, which I know not every fan's into that song, but I do like that song. I think it's a decent ballad or a decent anthem for them. But you also have Down Through the Ages, which is easily one of my favorites on the album and probably one of the heavier songs off the album. I also like You Can't Fill My Shadow. I think that's kind of an underrated song off of here. When it comes to the more straightforward rock anthems, I do like Asking Too Much. I think that's one of the more underrated songs off of here. But yeah, this album does have a little bit of filler on it, but still, I like this album. Definitely one of the more divisive albums within their discography, but personally, I like it. Is it top shelf All That Remains? Absolutely not, but I think it's actually a decent album. But next in my ranking, we'll be moving to their latest album, Anti-Fragile, which I think is overall a fairly solid album. Is it gonna make it into one of my favorite albums of the year? I don't know if I'd go that far. I'm guessing probably not. But either way, I still think this is a solid album, though. Some of my favorites being Divine, which is definitely my favorite of the singles and easily one of my favorites on the album. Then you also have Forever Cold. I think that's another solid single for the band. But my favorite song on the album has to be Kerosene. I really dig the heaviness in that song, such as in the verses. But I think it also has one of the best choruses on the album. Definitely Pure All That Remains with that chorus. But I really like Here's Kerosene. Really great song, in my opinion. And when you move towards the heavier songs off of here, I really like the title track and Cut Their Tongues Out. Cut Their Tongues Out is definitely one of my favorites on the album. Definitely a banger. And I think Let You Go is another pretty good single for them, too. No Tomorrow is definitely my least favorite of the singles, but I think it's decent, though. It definitely sounds more closer to what they were doing in the 2010s, but I do think it's a decent song, though. But, yeah. Overall, solid album, though. It maybe has one or two decent/average songs, but still overall, as the album as a whole, I think it's actually pretty solid. The next in my ranking, we have Victim of the New Disease, which I really dug when it came out. And my copy comes with a signed booklet. This was something that you could pre-order at the time when the album was coming out. And yeah, to me, I think it holds up, though. It opens up with probably the heaviest song on here with Fuck Love. But I think you have other really great songs in here like Blood I Spill, which I think is one of my favorites, especially when it comes to the deeper cuts on the album. I also like Wasteland, another pretty good single for them. I think the title track is kind of underrated. Same with the song that comes before that one with I Meant What I Said, which is one of the more radio-friendly songs off the album. I really like that song. Could have done without the auto-tune, the short auto-tune moment that you get later in the song or towards the end of the song before they play the chorus one last time. But still, I do really like that song, though. That's always been one of my favorites on the album. Broken's definitely another pretty good banger off the album. But yeah, I think this album, you get a good mix of the more radio-friendly side of All That Remains and also their heavier side, of course, such as with songs like Blood I Spill and Fuck Love and Broken. But I even like the more radio-friendly songs on here, like Just Tell Me Something and Everything's Wrong. But yeah, overall, pretty good album from them. But next in my ranking, we have their second album, This Darkened Heart. Now, this album and the next album in my ranking can kind of go back and forth, but as of now, this is where this album lands. And yeah, definitely a metalcore classic for sure. I mean, you have Tattered on My Sleeve on here, which is maybe my favorite song on the album. That song is definitely a banger, and I'm sure it would definitely go real hard live. Hopefully, whenever I get a chance to see them live again, hopefully they perform that song. I mean, my hopes aren't super high for that, but either way, I would love to see them perform that song live, if I ever get another chance to see them live. The title track is definitely another one of my favorites off the album. The Deepest Gray, definitely another one of my favorites, definitely a banger for sure. When it comes to the lesser known songs off of here, I really like For Salvation and Death in My Arms, which is a pretty good way to open up the album. But yeah, all around, really good album. The next in my ranking, this is where they start getting a little bit more radio friendly, but again, as I mentioned earlier, they definitely push that even further in the 2010s. But we were talking about Overcome. I might get a little bit of flack for putting this above This Darkened Heart, but either way, again, these two albums kind of go back and forth for me. But Overcome, I think, is actually a pretty good album, and I think easily one of their best. You do have some of their biggest songs on here, of course, with songs like 2 Weeks and Chiron. I even like Forever in Your Hands. I think that's another pretty good anthem for them. I think it has a fairly catchy chorus too. You move towards the deep cut, the deeper cuts on the album, like Days Without and Before the Damned, which I think is maybe one of my favorite album openers from the band. That song's definitely a banger. But yeah, all around, again, to me, one of the band's best for sure. The next in my ranking, an album that I feel is somewhat kind of underrated, but at the same time, for me, one of their best. And that album is For We Are Many. This album kind of sounds a little bit heavier than the previous album with Overcome. At least that's what I kind of hear a little bit. Especially when you look to songs like Dead Wrong and the title track, of course. But of course, they do continue the more radio-friendly thing that you started hearing with Overcome. The more radio-friendly stuff, such as songs like The Waiting One and The Last Time or Hold On. But I do think those are pretty good singles for them. I think you get some really good deep cuts on the album. Some of my favorite deep cuts in general from the band, such as songs like Dead Wrong and From the Outside. I really like that song a lot, and to me it has some of Phil's best vocals on the album. I also like Won't Go Quietly. That's another one of my favorites off the album too. But yeah, overall, really good album in my opinion. Again, a tad underrated in my opinion, but at the top, which I'm sure many people would put at the top, that is their album, The Fall of Ideals. The one time that I've seen them live was when they were celebrating the anniversary of this album, so I definitely got lucky there, because again, definitely one of the best things to come from metalcore in my opinion, and I'm sure many people would probably agree with me on that. But yeah, really great album. I mean, you have the song 6 on here, which is a contender for maybe being my favorite song for them. Absolutely love that song. Love it all these years later. Of course, you also have other classic, All That Remains classics on here, like This Calling and Not Alone and The Air That I Breathe. We have other really great songs on here, like Whispers, which is definitely another one of my favorites off the album. I also like We Stand. I think that's one of the more underrated songs off the album. But yeah, really great album from front to back. Definitely has to be my number one. But yeah, that is my ranking of the All That Remains albums. Let me know your thoughts on my ranking in the comment section below. And of course, let me know your ranking in the comment section below too. But yeah, let me know some of your favorite or least favorite songs or albums from this band. Let me know if you've seen this band live, and if so, how many times. For me, I've only seen them once. And it was when they were celebrating the anniversary of The Fall of Ideals, which was definitely a really cool concert for sure. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below and all the good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, a like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.